Ever wonder if your personality has, like, cosmic roots?
Cosmic roots.
Yeah, like maybe our past lives are influencing who we are now. That's what we're diving into today. We're talking reincarnation, specifically some fascinating ideas from Kabir and Kirpal Singh.
It's a fascinating idea for sure. This isn't just about what happens after we die, but about how traces of those past lives, all 8.4 million of them, according to the source material, might be showing up in us right now.
8.4 million. Wow. Okay, so we're going way beyond personality quizzes here. This is like self-discovery on a cosmic scale.
Exactly. And to guide us on this deep dive, we're looking at excerpts from Kabir's Anurag Sagar with commentary from Kirpal Singh.
And these guys were all about looking for the subtle signs, those little hints of past lives that we might brush off as just quirks of our personality.
It's like, imagine thinking, oh, I'm just a naturally jealous person. But maybe, just maybe, there's a deeper reason for it, something connected to a past life.
So it's less about saying, this is who I am, period, and more about understanding the why behind the what.
Exactly.
Okay, so to help us make sense of these cosmic connections, Kabir presents us with 4 categories of creation. He says, essentially, that our souls could have hung out in any of these realms before landing in our current human form.
And each category, he suggests, leaves a kind of unique, energetic imprint on the soul, which influences its inclinations and tendencies, even across lifetimes.
Like even after 8.4 million go-arounds?
It would seem so, yes.
Wow. Okay, so let's unpack these 4 categories. First up, egg-born. We're talking birds, reptiles, fish, anything that hatches.
Creatures that often have to fight for resources from the moment they hatch.
Right. And Kabir suggests that souls who've spent time in these forms might be a bit more prone to, well, let's say, borrowing things that don't belong to them.
It's that survival instinct, you see. Imagine the precariousness of life as an egg-born creature constantly on alert, protecting your territory, ensuring your own survival. Those instincts, they can manifest in different ways in a human lifetime. Perhaps a heightened sense of possessiveness, or an aversion to sharing resources.
So like that friend who gets weirdly competitive over board games?
Perhaps, or maybe someone who has a strong reaction to seeing others donate to charity. It's like that deep-seated fear of losing what you have, even if it's irrational in this lifetime.
Right. And it's not just about material things either. Kabir also talks about these souls having a strong desire for Maya. That's that illusion that material possessions equal happiness, right?
Exactly. It's like those past life experiences where survival often depended on tangible resources are echoing in their present-day desires and anxieties.
Fascinating. It's like their past is playing out in the present in ways they might not even realize.
Precisely.
And these souls, he says, they can be prone to some intense emotions. Like they might be super kind and generous one minute and then get riled up the next.
It's a certain rawness of emotion, I would say. A fiery energy that can manifest in both positive and, shall we say, spirited ways.
Yeah, spirited is a good way to put it. Okay, so that's egg-born. Now for a category that might make a few people squirm sweat dirt-born. We're talking insects, worms, those crawly creatures that, well...
emerge from less glamorous beginnings, perhaps?
Exactly. And Kabir describes these souls as being, a little less concerned with hygiene, maybe not as interested in spiritual matters. They might even disregard the guidance of gurus or spiritual leaders, and they might be, let's just say, not afraid to speak their minds, even if it means, bending the truth a little.
Yes. Lander Kabir calls it out specifically as a tendency of these souls. But again, it's not about judgment. It's about understanding.
Right. Like, maybe in those past lives, survival depended on being crafty, on outsmarting the competition, even if it meant a little creative storytelling.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that every soul is on its own unique journey, and some have simply had less exposure to, shall we say, ethical teachings.
It's like those nature documentaries, right? You see a dung beetle rolling around in, dung, and you don't think, oh, what a disgusting creature. You think, wow, it's just trying to survive.
A perfect analogy. It's about extending that same compassion to our fellow humans, even those who might seem a little rough around the edges.
I love that. Okay, so we've got egg-born and sweat dirt-born. Now, onto a category I have a sneaking suspicion I might relate to just a tad. Seed-born. We're talking trees, plants, flowers, all those beings rooted in growth and, reaching for the sky.
And often admired for their strength, resilience, and longevity.
Right. And according to Kabir, those qualities, they tend to carry over into a human life. So souls with a seed-born past, they might be drawn to positions of authority. They like to lead, to be in charge.
They might also enjoy, shall we say, the finer things in life. comfort, beauty, perhaps the touch of luxury.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I mean, trees are often the tallest, longest living things around, right? They command attention, provide shade. Plus, have you seen the price of houseplants lately? Talk about luxury.
Haha, very true. And let's not forget that seed-born beings are often sought out for their wisdom and knowledge. Trees, for instance, they witness centuries of history, store vast amounts of information within their rings.
So that friend who always has to one-up your story or correct your grammar.
Perhaps they're simply tapping into that ancient wisdom, even if it manifests in, well, slightly irksome ways in this lifetime.
And Kabir also notes a tendency for vanity and, what's the word? Fickle loyalty among seed-born souls.
It's that inherent connection to the cycles of nature, you see. Trees, for instance, they weather countless storms, adapt to changing conditions. Their loyalty might lie more with survival and growth than with any one individual or group.
It's like they're constantly evolving, always reaching for the light, even if it means shedding old leaves or, I guess, relationships along the way.
Precisely. It's a different way of experiencing connection, one that might not always align with human expectations.
Makes you think. Okay, on to our final category, womb-born. And this one's particularly interesting because we're not just talking humans here. It's any creature that develops inside a womb.
Exactly. Mammals of all shapes and sizes, a reminder of the interconnectedness of all life, really.
And Kabir describes these souls as generally calm, maybe a bit more focused on religious rituals, less prone to, malice or ill intent.
Which makes sense when you consider the relative safety and security of a womb compared to, say, hatching from an egg or emerging from the dirt. It fosters a certain level of inherent peace, a sense of being nurtured and protected.
It's like they come into the world with a little less, existential dread.
Perhaps. But here's the crucial distinction. Humans, while also being womb-born, have something extra. That akash, that spiritual element we talked about earlier, it sets us apart, gives us a unique capacity for self-awareness and spiritual growth.
Right, like we're playing in the same cosmic sandbox as all other mammals, but we've got this extra set of tools.
Exactly. We have the potential to transcend our base instincts, to connect with something far greater than ourselves.
It's like being human comes with a bonus level of responsibility. We've got this incredible opportunity to evolve spiritually in a way that, say, a cow or a chimpanzee might not.
A profound opportunity indeed. And understanding this distinction can be crucial in cultivating compassion for both ourselves and others. We're all at different stages of this grand cosmic journey, after all.
So we've explored these 4 fascinating categories: egg-born, seed-born, sweat-dirt-born, womb-born, each with its unique set of strengths, challenges, and let's face it, quirks. But what's the practical application of all this? Like, how does understanding these categories actually help us in our day-to-day lives?
Well, for starters, it gives us a framework for understanding human behavior in a whole new light. Instead of just labeling someone as greedy or envious characteristics that might hint at an egg-born past, for instance, we could recognize the potential root of that behavior. We can choose to respond with compassion and understanding rather than judgment.
So instead of getting frustrated by that friend who always corrects our grammar, maybe a seed-born tendency, we can see it as coming from a place of, misplaced helpfulness.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that those seemingly annoying tendencies might actually be echoes of ancient strengths, ways of navigating the world that might simply need a little reinterpreting for a human life.
It's like we've been given this amazing new lens to look at ourselves and everyone around us, you know?
Absolutely. Instead of slapping labels on people like greedy or envious, which, hey, maybe those are hints of an egg-born past, we can start to see the roots of that behavior. We can choose understanding instead of judgment.
So the next time I'm ready to strangle that friend who corrects my grammar, maybe a seed-born thing, I can try to remember it might just be their awkward way of being helpful.
Exactly. It's about understanding the why behind the what. And that understanding, it even applies to those who seem, well, a little less advanced on their spiritual path, like those with the sweat-dirt-born tendencies.
It really makes you realize it's not our place to judge anyone's spiritual progress, right? I mean, we have no clue what their soul's been through, what lessons they're still working on.
Exactly. And that brings us to Kirpal Singh. He adds this whole other layer of, hope to the conversation.
Right. He talks about the role of a spiritual master, a guide who can help us unpack all that karmic baggage we've picked up over lifetimes, no matter how heavy it feels.
It's this beautiful idea that we're not doomed to repeat the same patterns forever. With the right guidance, we can learn to break free from those ingrained tendencies, those old habits, and move towards, spiritual liberation.
So even if we recognize some not so great traits in ourselves, like a tendency to gossip or a bit of a temper, it's not a life sentence. There's always a path forward.
Absolutely. We have the power to choose a different way, to evolve. It's pretty empowering when you think about it.
Totally. I feel lighter already. But as always, we want to leave our listeners with something to ponder. So here's a final thought from Kabir. He says that being born human, even with all its craziness and challenges, is a precious opportunity for spiritual growth. So what if we looked at life and our interactions with everyone around us as this grand school for the soul, a chance to learn and evolve together no matter where our journeys began? This has been another deep dive, and we thank you for joining us on this exploration. We'll be back next week exploring another fascinating topic related to the teachings of Kabir and Kirpal Singh. Until then, we encourage you to reflect on the ideas we discussed today and perhaps see if you can recognize any of these tendencies within yourself or those around you. Remember, it's all about cultivating understanding and compassion on this